This is the fourth turn of my 2020 aerobic compost heap. Before we get into the work, I want to show you this short clip that I made of what was happening here this morning. Now that we have a cold morning, you can see the steam coming off of the compost heap. So now we have 2 buckets of very fresh greens, and the freshness we get bacteria injection as well as enzymes. We have a barrel full of soaked sod, and I've got some greens in there as well with rainwater. I also have a very much a surprise. And I got a barrel of very bottom of the barrel of comfrey tea, and then I've got a whole wheelbarrow full of material that came out of those barrels that made the tea. So here we go again. Oh, this stick I just took off is hot. These are hot too. This pile is ripping. Now we got about 2 days, and let's see, it's 6 o'clock almost, and the last one I think I completed about 10. So 2 days and 8 hours. This is some very stocky material. I'm pretty sure this was a barrel that was about 50-50 with comfrey and burdock that I packed in there last summer, probably in July. And I mean, I really packed it in there. I had a cedar post, and I put in a foot of material, and then I would just pound it down into like an inch. I put a lot of stuff in there. So that kind of shows in this, in all these stalks here. Ooh, I got that white bacteria growing. I've got all the black raspberries weeded now. There was that plant that I still can't remember what it is. Mixed those stalks of big long stalks of purple flowers. Sometimes they're white. Sometimes they're white and purple together. A lot of those. Lots of garlic mustard. A lot more Canadian goldenrod, a few burdock leaves, yeah, this sod is still hanging around yet. You can see it. Sod lasts a little longer. There's more. I got a lot more sod to add too in that barrel, but I just might leave it in there if it's working so good now. can add it the next time. It's the 13th, and I want this to keep going for another 17 days or so. So the problem isn't that I have the time. The problem is I got to keep adding nitrogen because this pile has a lot of wood shavings in it, lots of carbon. You got to keep adding nitrogen. I'm not going to start on the bottom because I kind of misplaced this pile a little bit. I need to make some room. Ooh, it's nice and moist. We definitely got enough water in this so far. Beautiful brown rich color. That's what I'm talking about right there. We're supposed to get almost an inch of rain tomorrow. We haven't had any rain for quite a few weeks. And I'm out of pure rainwater for watering. And I think we had the very last hard frost of the season, of the start of the season here this morning. So I went and hooked up my larger 1,500 gallon water tank. I don't like hooking it up unless there's no more frost because I don't want to freeze the valve and break it. Now this bottom part is a little drier. We'll do this side a little bit on the bottom, and we'll add a little water right there. The center of the pile is really nice. Okay. Pile's looking exceptional. Time to unveil the surprise. This is my deer, the buck that I shot this fall here in the county. We're going to compost the head. I've done this once before. I suppose if you key in composted European mount, you'll get to the video that I made on the first one I did. I haven't done one since. I shot this one right in the county, so we're good to go with this one. Yeah, I spent a few hours pulling weeds this morning. Well, actually it's probably late morning and early afternoon. I got the black raspberries all cleaned up, and I worked an area where I have ramps. The ramps are looking pretty peaked. I think in the prior years we've had a lot of rain, and I haven't had to really pay much attention to them. They just grew. And now it's been dry, and they started looking a little wilty. I thought, boy, I better add something. So I weeded it, and I made little channels above each plant. And I put some of my fermented fertilizer water in those little channels, and that allowed the water to sit there and soak in. Then I went in the back and I got some leaves that were laying on the ground. There. And I surrounded all the plants with these dead leaves, decomposing leaves. There's some water in here too. That's some rich water right there. Make sure there's enough water around that skull. Get a good start on it. And then after I put the leaves on the ground, well, I watered it, then I put the leaves on the ground. And I put a little straw on the ground over the top of the leaves, help the leaves to stay moist. And then I took some welded wire, the little short pieces that I had just laying around, bent them up to make like a little frame for one of them. I put a little straw on top of that frame over the plants, and one of them wasn't that big to make a dome like that, so I just brought it up and over, so it's got a little overhang. I put some straw on top of that, put a few sticks on the straw to make sure that the straw doesn't blow off. And after I did that, it was sunny most of the day, and less than an hour after I did that, you could see the leaves were all perking up. So they were stressed. I helped them out in the nick of time. This pile's going to be hard to flip next time because of all these stalks. It's going to kind of hold it together, but that's okay. It's a good addition. Right now, it helps to absorb all that carbon, help the bacteria to keep moving. Yeah, baby. We got a lot of greens in here this time. And we need to really start kicking up the greens because our fish and our hair is gone. Those are nitrogen sources. So now we got to replace it with the greens. Another maybe 2 flips and I'll start adding comfrey. I got a lot of that growing. Wait till it's optimum height. I got to do it at least 4 days, 2 flips before it's the end. And even then, it's not that critical. I've already, you know, distributed some of the compost and then just put it right over the top of comfrey leaves without even composting them. They turned out pretty good. I still got all the sod that's in there soaking. Sod is pretty good nitrogen source too. It's not the best because there's soil involved with it. That deer head must be already cooking. This pile seems to be bigger than last year's. I just have the feeling. It's taking up a lot of space. Alright. I'm going to show you something before I sign off. This is very important, very important. You see this pile? How it's got this flat top to it? See that? Instead of just building a pile, I stopped at a certain level and then I started moving the pile along. That's important. And that's what I was taught in the PDC. You want it to be about that high. You put your arms straight out. And you know, some people are taller, some people are shorter. You're pretty close to her. It's probably about 5 foot tall. And you don't want it to get it much taller than that, because what happens is the weight of all the material forces the oxygen out of the bottom of the pile. And we don't want an anaerobic pile, we want an aerobic pile. That's why we're doing all this work. So take a good look at that. This is a lot of material right here. With that, don't forget to miss the next episode of As the Compost Turns.